Death is life's greatest mystery, and the question of the soul touches every heart. Is there heaven, rebirth, or only silence? From faith to science, from ancient traditions to modern stories, this journey explores what really happens after we die. Watch on, you may not find all the answers, but you will never see life the same way again. Welcome to Axis of Curiosity, the channel where life's deepest mysteries meet thoughtful exploration. Today we ask one of humanity's oldest and most haunting questions. What happens to the soul after we die? From religious visions to scientific perspectives, from personal stories to cultural shifts, this video takes you on a journey through ideas that shape how we see life, death, and meaning itself. If you find value in these reflections, don't forget to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for more thought-provoking content. From the earliest days of humanity, death has been the boundary we cannot cross yet never stop questioning. In American society, this question feels especially pressing because the culture sits at a crossroads of science, faith, and personal freedom. Psychologists often note that humans seek meaning because uncertainty threatens our sense of control. Dr. Irvin Yalom, a leading existential therapist, argued that our fear of death is not just about the end itself but about whether our lives carried significance. For many Americans, religion once offered clear answers: heaven, hell, salvation, but modern generations are less tied to church pews and more curious about exploring possibilities beyond dogma. The afterlife becomes less about fear of punishment and more about the hope of continued connection, whether through memory, energy, or spirit. In a nation shaped by diverse traditions, from Christianity to Native American spirituality, people still gather around the same question: when the body rests, does the soul journey on, or is its legacy found in how we are remembered? In American life, traditional religions continue to shape how people think about what happens after death. Even for those who no longer attend services regularly, Christianity remains the dominant influence, with its vision of heaven as eternal, reward, and hell as eternal separation from God. This imagery, taught in churches for centuries, still echoes in cultural language, literature, and even political speeches. Judaism often emphasizes remembrance and the moral weight of one's deeds, while Islam highlights accountability before God and the hope of paradise for the faithful. These traditions create a shared moral vocabulary that influences not only believers but also the broader culture that grew up around them. For many, the fear of judgment once kept faith tightly bound to daily behavior. Yet in modern America, the conversation is shifting from rigid doctrine to personal interpretation. Still, whether through the promise of reunion with loved ones or the warning of eternal consequence, the religious visions of the afterlife remain powerful lenses through which Americans wrestle with mortality and meaning. In today's America, an increasing number of people describe themselves as spiritual but not religious, reflecting a desire for connection without the confines of doctrine. This perspective often blends ideas drawn from diverse traditions, reincarnation from Eastern philosophies, energy transformation from New Age movements, or the belief that the soul dissolves into a universal consciousness. Sociologists point out that this trend resonates strongly with younger generations who value personal freedom and authenticity over institutional authority. Instead of asking which religion is correct, many now ask how their individual experiences moments of awe in nature, meditation, or even psychedelic journeys point to a larger reality. The soul is no longer imagined as moving only toward heaven or hell, but as part of a cycle of growth, healing, and return. In a culture shaped by science yet hungry for meaning, this approach offers a middle ground, honoring the mystery of existence without demanding rigid belief. For many Americans, it feels less like rejecting faith and more like reclaiming the right to define their own spiritual path. Science approaches the mystery of the soul with tools of observation and evidence, often challenging but also expanding how Americans think about life after death. Neuroscience suggests that consciousness is deeply tied to brain activity, raising the possibility that what we call the soul may be a product of biology rather than something eternal. Yet near-death experiences complicate this picture. Patients report vivid sensations of light, peace, or encounters with loved ones even when brain function appears minimal. Psychologists argue that such experiences could be the brain's way of easing the trauma of dying, but others see them as glimpses into another dimension of reality. Theories of consciousness, from quantum physics to cognitive science, keep the debate alive, blurring the line between material explanation and spiritual mystery. In modern America, where science is highly trusted yet personal stories hold deep cultural weight. These perspectives coexist uneasily. For many, the scientific lens does not close the door on the soul, it reframes the question, pushing society to wonder whether death ends awareness or merely transforms it. Across the United States, countless individuals have shared strikingly similar near-death experiences, often describing tunnels of light, overwhelming peace, or reunions with departed loved ones. These accounts, told on talk shows, in memoirs, and now on social media, have captured the imagination of a culture that balances skepticism with curiosity. Medical professionals sometimes attribute these visions to oxygen deprivation or brain chemistry, yet the emotional depth of these stories leaves many unconvinced that they can be dismissed as illusion. Psychologists note that such experiences often reshape a person's outlook on life, reducing fear of death and inspiring greater compassion or purpose. For American society, where faith and science frequently collide, these narratives serve as a bridge, offering comfort without requiring adherence to a specific creed. They remind listeners that even in clinical settings, where monitors measure every heartbeat, there remain mysteries beyond our instruments, whether interpreted as evidence of an afterlife or as the mind's final gift. These personal stories keep the question of the soul vividly alive in the American imagination. In earlier generations, talk of the afterlife in America often carried the weight of fierce sermons, filled with warnings of hellfire, eternal punishment, and divine judgment. That fear shaped not only religious devotion, but also social behavior, keeping morality tied to the threat of consequence. Yet in today's cultural landscape, especially among younger Americans, the conversation has shifted. Surveys show declining belief in hell, and a growing openness to explore the afterlife as a mystery, rather than a verdict. Popular books, podcasts, and films now frame death less as a danger to be avoided, and more as a doorway worth contemplating. Psychologists highlight that curiosity can be a healthier motivator than fear, leading people to ask deeper questions about meaning, purpose, and legacy. This transition reflects a broader cultural move away from rigid authority toward individual exploration. Instead of being paralyzed by terror of what awaits, many Americans now approach the question of the soul with wonder, seeking not certainty, but insight into what death might reveal about life itself. When faced with the great unknown of death, perhaps the most important lesson is not in finding certainty about where the soul goes, but in deciding how we live while we are here. Across cultures and beliefs, one truth seems to echo: the values we carry, love, kindness, and integrity, shape the legacy we leave behind. Whether the soul journeys to heaven, transforms into energy, or simply lives on in memory, what truly matters is how deeply we touch the lives of others in the time we are given. Mystery can be unsettling, but it also invites us to live more intentionally, to see every day as a gift rather than a guarantee. In the end, the question of the soul may not be fully answered in this life, but it can inspire us to create meaning with every choice we make. Thank you for watching this video. If these reflections resonated with you, please like the video, share it with someone who might need it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more thoughtful explorations like this one.